All right, today we are going to create a collage. Now a collage is a picture of cut up pieces of paper glued together to make a new picture. Last week we created our texture papers with all the rubbings and then we painted them to create lots of beautiful colors. Today we're going to cut this paper up and to make a collage. So first thing we always do, write your name and your teacher's name. Now this is going to be on the front. I've got these little patterns. These are going to be to help you cut out all of your fishes and your hats and the leaves. So this one is kind of like the big fish. It says big fish on it. So the best way to do this is to just line it up with the flat side of your paper. And you can decide what part you want the big fish to be. Maybe you want the big fish to be purple and red or yellow. You can decide where you want that big fish to go. Line it up with that flat side and then just trace it onto your paper. Now I can kind of see that. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut that big fish out. And this is the part that I'm going to glue down, this beautiful colored paper. So I'm going to take my black paper now. And I'm going to decide where I want my big fish to go. This is going to be the glue that we use. We've used this before. I'm going to kind of push some of this. And this big fish is kind of big, so I've got to kind of push just the corners down. I've got some glue on it now, and if we need to use glue sticks for this, we will. I don't want to crumple this up too much. That kind of didn't work very well. I'm going to glue it down right along the edge of my paper. Make sure it's stuck. Sometimes I have to hold it a little bit. Rub it smoothly. I'm not banging on it. Sometimes if I just take my finger, I put a little glue on my finger, that'll help get those edges stuck down. Okay, so now I've got my big fish. Now I've got to decide what color I want my little fish, and then I've got the leaves. So my little fish is this one. It says little fish on it. So I can decide, do I want my little fish to be green or red? I've got this black part right here. I think I want my little fish to be red. So I'm going to trace around my little fish. And then this is the tail part. Since my fish is red, I think I'm going to have my tail be green. So I'm going to line up my tail over here and trace around it right here. And then the hat, I've got these colorful pieces of paper that I will show you. I'm going to use this for my hat. So I'm just going to put this on top of my colorful piece of paper. I'm going to trace around that. And then I've got some leaves that I can use. Maybe I want to cut some leaves out, but now I'm going to cut these parts out. With my scissors, I'm going to carefully cut my fish shape out. This is my little fish. And my tail of my little fish is kind of like a heart shape. Sometimes I just do that. Now when I cut, I carefully turn my paper as I cut, and that's the tail, and then the hat will go on top. And I'm going to give you guys Google eyes to put for the face, for the eyes. I think I'm going to do that next week. We're going to work on these today and next week because it takes a lot of practice to get this cutting stuff. So now I've got my hat, my tail, my big fish, my little fish. Now some of this I can use for seaweed. So if I just take my paper, maybe I cut like this part off of the edge. That doesn't really look like seaweed. That kind of looks like a foot. I want it to be like pointed. So I'm going to cut some of this off and make it kind of a pointy seaweed. That looks a little bit more like seaweed. So I can glue that down. Maybe I want to cut some of this, make it not so straight on this side. Seaweed's not straight. It's kind of wavy and it blows in the waves. I'm going to take my seaweed, get my seaweed glued down, and then since the little fish swam into the seaweed with lots of leaves on it, I have lots of this paper that I can use for leaves. I got to get that glued down so it doesn't come up. Sometimes just using a finger helps and pushing it down. Then these are the leaves. So the leaves don't have to be green. They can be lots of different colors, but it says leaf on top of there. So I'm going to take the leaf, I'm going to put it on top of my colorful paper in an empty spot, trace around it, And then I'm going to cut it out with my scissors carefully. If it's not perfectly circular or oval, this is kind of like an oval leaf. Maybe I can make it different. And then I can glue that down next to my seaweed. And these colors always really stand out nicely on top of the black paper. So you're going to add lots of different colors. You can make your fish swimming up here or down here, wherever you want. And then eventually you'll have lots of this seaweed. And this is kind of a different type of a seaweed. I can make some tall seaweed, some little seaweed. And then we're going to do the Google eyes and these little teeny white dots next week.